Good morning, everyone. Thank you for starting the day out with me. I'm going to start things off today by sharing an amazing story of resilience, hope, struggle, and unfortunately hate. Now, you'll be meeting Jane Ireland. She is a transgender woman who began her transition 5 years ago. The trans community is a mystery to many, including myself. I do know, though, that the reality is that so often they are targets of violence. They experience discrimination. Unemployment is high, and there is no other group with a higher suicide rate. We'll learn a little bit more this morning as Jane shares some of her amazing journey with us. Jane, it is such a pleasure to have you here. Thank you for being on and sharing your story.
Thank you, Jenna, for having me. It's an honor to be here. It's an honor to represent the trans community.
Jane, before we get into your journey, what do you want people who watch your interview to take from it?
That you should pursue the dreams of your heart to be who you were built to be. I know that I came out into life. I came out of the womb with wires crossed, and I didn't know that till I was 25 years old, but struggling with that identity, with that doubt all through my childhood and teen years, not understanding who I was or what was going on was horrible. But answers come. We model. I'm modeling for my peers to be with you today by my lifestyle, by my accomplishments. And I think what I want people to get from it, Jenna, is for everyone, not just members of the trans community, that it's okay to be who you are.
Jane, as you just mentioned, you struggled for years with your identity. Now, would you share this with other people, or would you just keep it to yourself?
I've kept it to myself until now, except for friends and those that I've disclosed to. But this is a big step for me, Jenna, to come on air with you and to do this, because Cheryl Rhodes and Connie Gilbert brought it out of me along with Andrea Meyerson in September of 2011. 2012 at Tropic Cinema, but that's the only other time I've ever disclosed before the public, and I am willing to do that now. Mm-hmm. I know who I am, which I've known for some time, but now I carry it with confidence. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, why not? Why not make myself available to help others?
Right, absolutely. Why not share your story? Because
yes.
You never know who you might touch. Jane, I
That's
understand that at one point in your life, you were married and you ended up having 3 children. Can you tell us a little bit about that happen, Jane?
Yeah, my ex of 27 years is my best friend, Melissa Engel. She lives in Kentucky now. We had 3 children, but I do have an older daughter from a previous marriage. That's a very interesting story, and they're all 4 of my children are artists and passionate about life and about being real in your life.
Mm-hmm. And how has your ex-wife and your children reacted to you wanting to go through this transition and become a woman? That's
the go-to question, and that's a very fair question, a great question. But my story is almost flip-flop from a lot of those in the trans community. Most in the trans community go through life with support, of course, because they're role-playing. I was role-playing as a male for 59, almost 60 years. But the children normally, if there's adverse reactions, they turn against the parent when this happens. But in my case, 3 of my 4 children had rejected me because I was a religious zealot. I thought that what I was feeling inside was a sin, and that the Bible and being a Christian could eliminate that sin. So I was overzealous on religion side of life, not spirituality, because I had that love for Jesus in me, but it was how I took the Word of God, the Bible, and used it as sort of a club, not only with my children, but for anyone who I felt was going against what is right. And man is deciding that, and it's not good. So I fell victim to that same judgment attitude. And 3 of my 4 children saw through that hypocrisy and turned against me. And I didn't know what was going on. I wondered why my kids didn't come up and hug me when I came home from work. It's because I was carrying, even though I had deep sensitivity in me all along, I was carrying that surface religiosity that they knew wasn't right. They didn't know what was wrong, but what was causing it. So when I came out with a letter to them in 2009, fall of 2009, the response was unanimous and beautiful. They rallied around me and said, "Now we understand. We forgive you."
Mm-hmm. They forgave you?
Yes, for acting like a religious nerd for their entire lives.
Jane, it sounds like you waited so many years to begin your transition. What finally gave you the courage to do it? If you knew you were struggling with your identity for so long, what gave you that courage to make the step and make the transition?
That's a great question, Jenna. There was tremendous frustration surfacing in Melissa and my relationship at the physical level. I couldn't perform as a male anymore, and I was still trying, and we were experimenting, driven by my request to, can we try this and see if it works? And it was basically dressing in her clothes or buying my own feminine clothes and being physical then, but that was abhorrent to Melissa, and it was tearing her up inside. And so we were still the closest of friends, but we were separating, even going to separate rooms and that by this time. But there came just a moment when in our season together that we couldn't go on doing it. There had to be a change. And that happened during a church service in February of 2009, where I got, in my heart, I got a green light, I believe, from the Lord to go ahead and begin. And so I talked to Melissa on the way home from church that night and asked if she would help me begin my transition. And she said, yes. Mm-hmm.
And that's where your journey really started,
That's
Jane.
Really started.
And now you mentioned that you were rejected by your 3 children at one time, but you've also suffered other rejections from other people. And we're going to take a quick break right now, but when we get back from these messages, we'll talk a little bit about the journey of hate. Unfortunately, you've had to go on. Please stay with us. There is much more to come this morning.